This is a dire need for us, and they need to see it that way. It's not that we want it, it's that we need it.
Roughly 42 million Americans rely on the government to help put food on the table. But SNAP benefits expired over the weekend, leaving many uncertain of what the future holds. The Trump administration will send partial payments to SNAP recipients this month, offering only a temporary reprieve to low-income families. So it works out to about 50% of what eligible households currently get. The White House faced a noon deadline today to tell 2 federal courts when funding would be restored. They have to send out the payments by Wednesday. This afternoon, the Justice Department said the administration would fulfill its obligation to expend money in an emergency account for SNAP, but would not tap into additional funds that could have given beneficiaries full payments in November. Lawmakers are returning to Washington this afternoon as the government shutdown marks its 34th day. It's on track to become the longest in history tomorrow. The Senate is not currently scheduled to vote on a House-passed measure to fund the government, though some senators have suggested a possible end to the shutdown this week. New CBS polling shows Americans disapprove of how the shutdown is being handled by President Trump, Democrats, and Republicans almost equally. People are increasingly voicing concern about the shutdown's impact on the U.S. economy. There's also increased worry over being personally affected by the shutdown, particularly among those with lower incomes. The president is slamming Democrats as crazed lunatics, blaming them for the shutdown, but offered no immediate plan to address health care costs, a sticking point for Democrats who want Republicans to agree to extended government subsidies for the more than 20 million Americans with Obamacare. He spoke in an exclusive interview with Norah O'Donnell for 60 Minutes.
We can make it much less expensive for people and give them much better health care.
But where is that
I'd
plan?
be willing to work with the Democrats on it. The problem is they want to give money to prisoners, to drug dealers, to all these millions of people that were allowed to come in with an open border from Biden, and nobody can do that. Not one Republican would ever do that.
My understanding is if those health care subsidies are not extended, premiums will double for many of the people that are on it. And I was looking into it. 3/4 of these people will see their health care premiums double. Live in states where you won in the last election. I mean, even here in Florida has the highest number of residents on Obamacare in the country.
And I'm saying we can fix it, Norah.
You have helped end these government shutdowns in the past when they came about, and you did it by bringing
I'm very good at it, but I'm not going to do it by extortion. I'm not going to do it by being extorted by the Democrats who have lost their way. There's something wrong with these people.
So then what happens on November 15th when the troops don't get a paycheck?
Schumer is a basket case, and he has nothing to lose. He's become, I just left Japan, he's become a kamikaze pilot.
Sounds like it's not going to get solved, the shutdown.
It's going to get solved, yeah. Oh, it's going to get solved.
How?
We'll get it solved. Eventually, they're going to have to vote.
You're saying the Democrats will capitulate?
I think they have to. And if they don't vote, that's their problem. Now, I happen to agree with something else. I think we should do the nuclear option. This is a totally different nuclear, by the way. It's called ending the filibuster.
Let's bring in CBS News congressional reporter Taurean Small. Taurean, where do things stand on the government shutdown this afternoon?
Well, Lindsay, I mean, coming out of this weekend, it appears that Democrats are a bit more optimistic about where negotiations stand. Senator Alyssa Slotkin of Michigan is here in Virginia with me, covering or campaigning for Abigail Spanberger for governor out here. And she told our crew before she headed out that she was returning to Washington to continue with negotiations, saying that she believes there's more momentum as they enter this next week. She didn't explain who she was having conversations with, but did express that it was optimistic. This as union groups came out with letters pressing the Democratic Party to work with Republicans to end the shutdown sooner than later. I asked DNC Chairman Ken Martin, who's also out here campaigning, about what this means for the party. This is what he had to say.
Make no doubt about it. The American people see this for what it is. They're blaming the Republicans, as they should, for this shutdown. And the longer it goes on, it's going to be right on the heels of the Republicans. And frankly, look, the reality is as people start to die because of this, this is on the Republicans. As people start to lose their health insurance, this is on the Republicans. As families who don't have food right now continue to be malnourished and struggle, this is on the Republicans. Make no mistake about it. American people are wise to what they're doing right now. Democrats are waiting in Washington for these Republicans, and they're playing games.
Lindsay, leaders left Washington last week frustrated by a lack of progress, but we did see quite a few standalone bills pick up momentum. It's yet to be seen whether or not there will be bipartisan consensus to get at least one of those across the finish line soon.
So get us up to speed on the latest SNAP benefits and the White House decision to send partial payments. How are lawmakers reacting?
Yeah, so the Trump administration is saying the reason for these partial payments is just there's not enough funds in the contingency, that emergency bank, in order to pay out fully. Lawmakers are still mulling over whether or not there's something they can do to intervene. I mentioned those standalone pieces of legislation that lawmakers, including Senator Josh Hawley of Missouri, has been proposing, and that would essentially completely fully fund the SNAP benefits for beneficiaries, 40+ million people on that right now. So they're looking internally at what they can do within the chambers. The problem, though, is the House has been adjourned for weeks now. The Speaker said there's no intention of bringing them back until the Senate acts, and the Senate still is at the stalemate that we're looking at as we approach day 35 very shortly, Lindsay.
Taurean Small, thank you. CBS News White House reporter Olivia Rinaldi joins us now with more. Olivia, it's not just the shutdown people are upset with. New CBS News polling shows a majority of Americans disapprove of President Trump's handling of immigration, the economy, and inflation. What more do these polls tell us?
Well, certainly a very revealing poll from our unit and Anthony Salvanto, our polling director, that showed that essentially 1 year out from Trump's victory, the majority of Americans do think Trump is pursuing his agenda. 65% of Americans say that he is trying to fulfill his campaign promises one way or another, but still they're very sour on the economy and inflation. Those remain two of the most stubborn things preventing Trump's polling from going up any higher. In fact, 62% of Americans disapprove of his handling of the economy, and 66% say that they disapprove of his handling of inflation, as those stubborn prices remain very high. One thing they are agreeing on him with is on immigration. They say that he is getting some positive marks on his handling of immigration, and a lot of that is due to border crossings, which they view as down. But still, the two most persistent issues facing this administration, and certainly the previous administration, the Biden administration, are those high marks on the economy and inflation as prices remain persistently high.
And earlier we played some of President Trump's exclusive interview with CBS's Norah O'Donnell. So what else did you take away from the interview?
Well, lots. It was certainly very, very newsy. One thing in particular I do want to point out was about Changpeng Zhao, who was the leader of Binance, who President Trump just pardoned. Nora asked him why he pardoned him, and President Trump responded, "Are you ready? I don't know who he is." And Nora pointed out, rightfully, that his crypto exchange company Binance had actually helped facilitate a $2 billion purchase of World Liberty Financial, which is controlled by Trump's sons. President Trump still said, "I don't know anything about that." So quite notable there. Certainly something we expect to be, for Democrats to dig into on Capitol Hill, that in particular. Also, I want to point out something he said about the Supreme Court this week. They are hearing a case on Trump's tariff agenda and whether it is legal for the president to pursue this tariff agenda that he has, essentially giving out tariffs to countries and saying it's under a crisis for the United States that he must do this. That is going to be heard this week by the Supreme Court on Wednesday, so mark your calendars. That's going to be a very important day for us here at the White House. But the president warned that if they don't rule in his favor on this specifically, he said the economy will go to hell, and he said the country will be immeasurably hurt by this. Lindsay?
Olivia Rinaldi, thank you. You can watch the extended interview on CBS News and Paramount Plus apps. You can also read the full transcript at 60minutesovertime.com.